Dad's silent revenge.
The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I'm sorry, sir, but family seating is reserved for parents and primary guardians. I stood there in the lobby of Riverside Elementary, holding the invitation my 8-year-old granddaughter Beverly had made for me herself. Colored pencils and glitter glue, with my name written in her careful handwriting. For Grandpa Howard, please come. The usher, some young woman with a clipboard and a practiced smile, wouldn't even look me in the eye. She kept scrolling through her tablet like my name might magically appear if she looked hard enough. My name's Howard Peterson. I'm 58 years old. Been running heavy equipment for 35 years. Started when I was 23, right out of high school, when you could still get a good job with your hands and your back. I've moved more dirt and poured more concrete than most people see in a lifetime. I've built the foundations for shopping centers and office buildings, graded the roads these fancy people drive on to get to their important meetings. And right now, I was being told I couldn't sit with my own family. But I'm her grandfather, I said, keeping my voice steady the way you learn to do when you're dealing with bureaucrats and building inspectors. Beverly Collins is my granddaughter. The woman scrolled through her tablet again, frowning. I see you're not on the immediate family list, Mr. Peterson. We have general seating available in the back section. You'll still have a wonderful view. I looked past her into the auditorium. The first 6 rows had those little brass plaques screwed into the chair backs. Reserved family seating, they said in fancy script. I could see empty chairs scattered throughout those rows. Plenty of them. The ceremony wasn't starting for another 20 minutes, but apparently, none of those seats were for me. That's when my daughter Diana appeared at my shoulder like she'd been watching from somewhere, waiting to swoop in. She's 28 now, works at some marketing firm downtown where they probably spend more on coffee in a week than I used to make in a month. Always dressed like she's about to close $1 million deal, even for a kid's school ceremony. Today, she had on a charcoal gray suit that looked expensive and shoes that clicked against the polished floor like they cost more than my monthly truck payment. Dad, it's fine, she said, her hand landing on my arm with that gentle pressure I'd started to recognize. The kind that says, don't make trouble. Come on, I'll show you where to sit, but it wasn't fine. Nothing about this was fine. See, when my wife Frances passed away 5 years ago, Diana was 23 years old and drowning. She had a 3-year-old daughter, no husband in sight, and was working part-time at some dead-end office job that barely covered her rent. She'd moved back in with us for a while, and after Frances died, it was just the 3 of us in that house. Diana, little Beverly, and me. I stepped up because that's what you do. That's what fathers do. I helped raise Beverly while Diana went back to school nights. I'd be reading Dr. Seuss while Diana was studying for exams. Weekends, I'd have Beverly in the garage with me, teaching her the names of tools while Diana wrote papers. And when Diana got accepted into that MBA program at State University, I didn't hesitate. I wrote the check, $45,000. Every penny I could scrape together from my retirement savings, money I'd been putting away for 30 years. Dollar by dollar, overtime shift by overtime shift. This will change everything, Dad, Diana had said, holding the acceptance letter with tears in her eyes. This degree will give Beverly and me a real future. And it did change everything. Diana graduated summa cum laude, got that marketing job, met Bradley Collins, who sells luxury cars at the BMW dealership across town. They got married when Beverly was 6, moved into a nice house in Maple Ridge subdivision where the lawns are always green and the mailboxes all match. Meanwhile, I'm still in the same house I bought 30 years ago when Frances and I were newlyweds. Still getting up at 5 a.m. to be on the job site by 6. Still coming home with dirt under my fingernails and the smell of diesel fuel in my work clothes. Diana guided me toward the back rows, her heels clicking against that polished floor. I caught her looking around, checking to see who was watching us walk back there. That should have been my first warning sign, but I was too focused on being proud of Beverly to pay attention to the undercurrents. Deanna, there are empty seats up front, I said, nodding toward the reserved section. It's assigned seating, Dad. They have a system. Her voice had that tight quality it gets when she's trying to manage a situation. You'll be able to see just fine from back here. Don't make a scene. Don't make a scene like wanting to sit with my family was making a scene. Like a grandfather showing up to celebrate his granddaughter's achievement was somehow disruptive. I settled into a seat in the back row, surrounded by other grandparents and family friends who apparently also didn't make the cut for the VIP section. The woman next to me smiled sympathetically. First time at one of these, she asked. Yeah, you? third grandchild. It's always the same. They pack the front with the parents and their friends. Everyone else gets the nosebleed seats. She shrugged like this was just how things worked. At least we're here, right? At least we're here. I suppose that was something. The ceremony started right on time. The principal, a woman who looked like she'd never worked a day with her hands in her life, gave a speech about excellence and achievement. Then they started calling names. I watched Beverly walk across that little stage to get her Mathematics Achievement Award. She looked so proud in her white dress with the pink sash, scanning the crowd until she found me way in the back. When she spotted me, her whole face lit up and she waved with both hands, nearly dropping her certificate. I waved back, grinning so hard my face hurt. That's my granddaughter. I wanted to shout. I helped raise her. I paid for her to go to this school where they can actually challenge her mathematically gifted mind. But from where I sat, I might as well have been just another face in the crowd. After the ceremony, there was a reception in the school cafeteria. They dressed it up nice with white tablecloths and flower arrangements, servers walking around with trays of champagne and fancy finger foods. I grabbed a cup of punch and looked around for Diana and Beverly. I found them standing with Bradley and another couple I didn't recognize. The man wore a watch that probably cost more than my truck. One of those heavy gold things that catches the light every time he moves his hand. His wife had on jewelry that sparkled under the fluorescent lights, diamond earrings, a necklace that looked like it belonged in a museum display case. I walked over to join them, figuring this was as good a time as any to meet some of Beverly's classmates' families. "Dad," Diana said when she saw me approaching. For just a split second, I saw something cross her face. Not quite panic, but close, like she was calculating something in her head. "This is Eugene and Gloria Miller. Their son Timothy is in Beverly's advanced math group." She paused, and I waited for the rest of the introduction. You know how it goes. Eugene, Gloria. This is my father, Howard, basic politeness. The kind of thing Frances had drilled into Diana when she was growing up. Instead, Diana said, "This is Howard Peterson. Just Howard. Not my father, not Dad, not even Diana's dad. Just Howard Peterson, like I was some acquaintance she'd bumped into at the grocery store." "Pleased to meet you," I said, extending my hand the way my father taught me when I was Beverly's age. A firm handshake. Look them in the eye. Show respect even when you're not sure you're getting it back. Eugene shook my hand, but his grip was brief and soft, like he was afraid my calluses might be contagious. "Nice to meet you, Howard. Are you with the school administration?" Before I could answer, Diana jumped in. "No. Howard does consulting work, transportation logistics." He's semi-retired now. I stared at her. Transportation logistics. That's what 35 years of operating bulldozers and excavators had become in her mind. Transportation logistics. "What field exactly?" Gloria asked, her voice carrying that polite interest people use when they're making small talk at parties. Diana's hand found my arm again, that same gentle pressure I was starting to recognize as a warning. "It's quite technical," she said, her voice bright and tight. "Dad, I think Beverly is looking for you. Why don't you go find her?" She started steering me away before Eugene or Gloria could ask any more questions, before I could open my mouth to explain what I actually did for a living. When we were out of earshot, standing by the dessert table where nobody else was paying attention, I stopped walking. "Transportation logistics,"
I said, keeping my voice low.
"Dad, please. I operate heavy equipment, Diana. Bulldozers, excavators, graders. I've been doing it since before you were born. These people don't need to know that." The words hit me like a physical blow. These people don't need to know that. Like what I did was something shameful. Like the work that had put food on our table. Paid for her clothes and school supplies, funded her college education, was something to hide. "What's wrong with what I do?" I asked. "Nothing's wrong with it." But she was looking around while she said it, making sure nobody was close enough to hear us. "It's just, Dad, this is a different world. Bradley's trying to build his client base with these families. We need connections. We need people to see us a certain way." "And what way is that? Professional, successful." She glanced over at Bradley, who was deep in conversation with Eugene about golf courses. "You don't understand the pressure we're under. Then explain it to me." She sighed. "The way you do when you're about to explain something complicated to someone you think might not get it. This school, these families, they're our network. Bradley's business depends on relationships. When someone's looking to buy a BMW, they don't just walk into any dealership. They go to someone they know, someone they trust, someone who moves in their circles. And I don't move in their circles. You move in different circles, Dad. There's nothing wrong with that, but we can't afford to seem. She struggled for the word. Ordinary, different, too different. I felt something settle in my chest, something cold and heavy. My daughter was ashamed of me. Not disappointed, not worried about my feelings, but actually embarrassed by what I did for a living. Diana, I said, and my voice came out quieter than I intended. I paid for your education. I helped raise Beverly. I've been sending you money every month to help with expenses. And I'm grateful, Dad. You know that. But you can't tell people I'm your father. That's not what this is about. Then what is it about? Before she could answer, Beverly came running up with her certificate clutched in both hands, her face glowing with excitement. Grandpa Howard. She crashed into my legs with the force of an 8-year-old missile. Did you see me get my award? Did you see? I saw everything, sweetheart. I picked her up and she wrapped her arms around my neck. I'm so proud of you. Mrs. Patterson said I got the highest score in the whole 3rd grade. She said I might be ready for 4th grade math next year. That's my smart girl. Beverly leaned back in my arms to look at my face. Jenny Miller asked if you were Mom's dad. I said yes, and she asked what you do for work. I felt Diana tense beside me. What did you tell her? I told her you drive really big machines and build things. She said that sounds way cooler than her dad's job. He just sits at a computer all day. Out of the mouths of babes, I looked at Diana over Beverly's head, but she was staring at the floor. Grandpa, Beverly said, can you come to career day next month? All the parents are coming to talk about their jobs. If your mom says it's okay, Diana's smile looked like it was held on with tape. We'll see, sweetie. We'll have to check the schedule. I drove home that night in my 12-year-old Ford F-150. The one I maintain myself because I know every bolt and wire in it. The engine purrs like a cat because I've taken care of it. Changed the oil every 3,000 miles, replaced parts before they fail. It's not fancy, but it's reliable, and it gets me where I need to go. I thought about Diana's face when she introduced me to the Millers. The way she couldn't say the word father, the empty seats in the family section I wasn't allowed to fill, the careful way she'd steered me away from her conversation like I was some embarrassing relative who might say the wrong thing. I thought about that $45,000. When I got home, I sat at my kitchen table with a beer and really looked around the house for the first time in months. Same Formica table where Diana used to do her homework when she was Beverly's age. Same kitchen cabinets Francis and I had installed ourselves 25 years ago, working evenings and weekends because we couldn't afford to hire contractors. Same everything. Because when you work with your hands for a living, you don't replace things that still work just fine. It had been 5 years since Francis passed, and the house still felt too quiet sometimes. But at least it was honest. The walls didn't pretend to be something they weren't over the next few weeks. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. I drove by Diana's office one afternoon and looked up her company's website on my phone. Under Meet Our Team, there was Diana's professional photo and bio. It said she brings diverse business perspectives from her family background and had extensive experience in multi-generational business strategy. Not a single word about heavy equipment or construction. Just vague corporate speak that could mean anything. Then I found her LinkedIn profile. Same professional headshot, same careful language. Under personal background, it mentioned her MBA and her diverse family business influences. When people asked about her father in the comments, she'd respond with things like Dad's semi-retired from the transportation sector, or he did logistics consulting for construction companies. Logistics consulting. Like I sat behind a desk making phone calls instead of spending 35 years in all weather, moving tons of earth and steel to build the infrastructure these people drove on every day without thinking about it. The breaking point came 3 weeks later when Beverly was staying over for the weekend. She'd been doing that every other Saturday since Diana and Bradley got married, and those were the best days of my week. We'd work on projects in the garage. I'd teach her about tools and engines, and she'd chatter about school and her friends. This particular Saturday, she was helping me change the oil in my truck when she brought up career day again. It's next Friday, Grandpa. Are you going to come? Did you ask your mom? Yeah. She said she'd think about it. Beverly was quiet for a moment, concentrating on holding the oil filter steady while I loosened it. Grandpa, why doesn't Mom want you to come to school things? The question hit me like a sucker punch. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that her mother is ashamed of her grandfather? What makes you think she doesn't want me there? She always says she has to check with Dad first. And when I tell kids about the big machines you drive, she gets that look. What look? Beverly scrunched up her face in a perfect imitation of Diana when she's trying to manage a situation. Like she ate something yucky, but she's trying to be polite about it. I almost laughed, but it hurt too much. Sometimes grown-ups worry about things that don't matter, sweetheart. Like what? Like what other people think. But you do important work. Mrs. Patterson said construction workers build America. Your teacher is a smart lady, so why does Mom get the yucky face? Before I could figure out how to answer that, my phone rang. Diana. Dad, can you bring Beverly home early today? We have plans. Sure. What kind of plans? Bradley's boss invited us to a barbecue at his house. It's important for networking, and you don't want Beverly to mention her grandfather who operates heavy equipment? There was a pause. Dad, that's not fair, isn't it? Look, these are Bradley's colleagues, important clients. We can't have Beverly talking about bulldozers and construction sites. Why not? Because it's not appropriate for the setting. What would be appropriate? I don't know. Maybe she could mention that her grandfather is in transportation consulting. There it was again. Transportation consulting. The lie Diana needed me to live so she could feel comfortable in her new world. Diana, I'm not going to coach an 8-year-old to lie about her family. It's not lying. It's just presenting things in the best light. For who? For all of us. Dad, you don't understand the world we're living in now. Then explain it to me. So she did. It all came pouring out over the phone, while Beverly pretended not to listen, focusing very hard on wiping down tools with a rag. How Bradley's car sales depended on building relationships with wealthy families. How they'd stretch their finances to live in Maple Ridge, to join the country club, to send Beverly to Riverside Elementary where the right kind of families sent their kids. How everything was about maintaining the right image, making the right connections, being seen as successful. We're barely holding on, Dad. The house payment, the club membership, Beverly's school fees. If people knew how much we're struggling, if they saw us as anything less than successful, Bradley would lose clients. It's all about perception in his business. And what about me? Where do I fit in this perception? You fit in by being flexible, Dad, by understanding that sometimes we need to present things differently. By lying. By being strategic. I looked at Beverly, who was still pretending not to listen while she organized my socket wrenches by size. She'd heard every word, and I could see the confusion on her face. Diana, I'm not going to teach Beverly to be ashamed of honest work. Nobody's asking you to be ashamed. We're asking you to be understanding. No, you're asking me to disappear. The next morning, after I'd taken Beverly home and watched Diana rush her inside without inviting me in, I called Catherine Brooks at First National Bank. She'd been my financial advisor for 15 years, helped me set up my retirement accounts, and manage Frances's life insurance after she passed. Howard, good to hear from you. How's Beverly doing? She's great, growing like a weed. Catherine, I need to talk to you about that education fund I set up for her. Of course, the one that's been sending Diana $1,500 monthly for Beverly's expenses. That's the one. I need to make some changes. There was a pause. What kind of changes? I want to set up a new account, a 529 college savings plan in Beverly's name only. I want to transfer the remaining balance from the current arrangement into that restricted account. Howard, that's a significant change. The current fund has about $38,000 left in it. Are you sure you want to lock that away until Beverly reaches college age? I'm sure. And Catherine? I want to stop the monthly payments to Diana, effective immediately. Another pause, longer this time. May I ask why? This is going to create some complications for your daughter's family. Let's just say I want to make sure the money is there for Beverly when she really needs it. For college, maybe graduate school, but I want control over how it's used until then. Howard, they're going to get a notice when next month's payment fails. I know. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with a legal pad and wrote down everything I could remember about Diana's deceptions over the past few months. The LinkedIn profile, the company bio, the conversations where she'd coached Beverly not to mention Grandpa's real job to her school friends, the way she'd steered me away from meeting her colleagues at company events I'd helped pay for through my monthly support. 2 weeks later, my phone rang. Deanna, and she didn't sound happy. Dad, there's a problem. What kind of problem? The monthly payment didn't come through. Catherine's office said the account has been restructured. That's correct. Silence, then. What do you mean that's correct? I restructured the account, Diana. The money's still there for Beverly, but it's restricted now. College fund only. You? What? Why would you do that without talking to us? Because I got tired of funding my own humiliation. Dad, that's not what. I paid $45,000 for your education so you could have a better life. I've been sending you $1,500 a month to help with Beverly's expenses, but apparently the cost of that support is pretending I don't exist. You're being ridiculous. I never said you don't exist. You told the Millers I was Howard Peterson. Just Howard. You've been telling people I do transportation consulting instead of operating heavy equipment. You won't let me come to Beverly's school events because you're embarrassed of what I do for a living. That's not fair. You don't understand the situation we're in. Then let me make the situation clearer. The money's there for Beverly when she needs it for college, but I'm not funding appearances anymore. I'm not paying for you to be ashamed of me. Dad, wait, I hung up. The next month was hard. Diana didn't call. I didn't call her. Beverly's regular Saturday visits stopped. I heard through my brother that they were scrambling financially, that Bradley was working extra hours trying to make up the lost income. I wanted to call. I wanted to fix it because that's what fathers do. We fix things, but some things need to stay broken for a while before they can heal properly. Beverly broke the silence. She showed up at my house on a Saturday afternoon in October, with Diana sitting in the driveway, not coming to the door. "Grandpa," she said when I opened it, "Mom's crying a lot lately. I'm sorry to hear that, sweetheart." She said, "You're mad at us." "I'm not mad at you, Beverly. Never at you." "But you're mad at Mom?" I knelt down to her level. Sometimes grown-ups disagree about important things. Your mom and I disagree about whether there's anything wrong with the work I do. There's nothing wrong with it. You build things. Important things. I think so too. She reached into her backpack and pulled out a folded paper. We had to write about someone we admire for English class. "I wrote about you. Mrs. Patterson said it was really good. Do you want to read it?" The title was My Grandpa, the Builder. She'd written about how I'd worked since I was young, how I'd helped pay for her mom's college, how I operated machines that built the roads we drive on, and the foundations of buildings where people work. She'd written that I was the hardest working person she knew, and that she wanted to learn how to build things too, just like me. I couldn't finish reading. My eyes got too blurry. Mom cried when she read it too, Beverly said quietly. Then she said, "We needed to come see you." I walked Beverly back to the car. Diana rolled down the window. Her eyes were red, and she looked like she hadn't been sleeping much. "Dad," she said. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Diana?" "No, let me finish." I got so caught up in trying to be someone else that I forgot who raised me. Beverly's essay made me realize I was teaching her to be ashamed of the best man I know. We talked for an hour in my driveway. Diana told me about the financial pressure, about the fear that had driven her to create this elaborate fiction about our family. I told her about feeling erased, about the pain of being treated like an embarrassment. The money's still there for Beverly, I said, for college, for whatever she needs. But no more lies. I don't want to lie anymore, Dad. It nearly cost me you. 6 months later, Diana and Bradley sold their house in Maple Ridge and bought a smaller place they could actually afford. Bradley took a job at the Ford dealership where he didn't have to pretend his father-in-law was something he wasn't. And Beverly, she comes over every Saturday now. I'm teaching her about engines, about how things work, about the dignity that comes from building something with your own hands. Last week, she asked if I'd come to Career Day. What should I tell them you do, Grandpa? Tell them I operate heavy equipment. Tell them I build the roads they drive on and the foundations their houses sit on, and that you're the hardest working person I know. If you want to. She grinned. I definitely want to. There's honor in honest work. Beverly understands that now. Diana's learning. And me? I learned that sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is refusing to participate in their self-deception. I'd paid $45,000 for Diana's education, but the real lesson, the one about dignity and truth, that one I taught for free. Sometimes the most expensive education isn't the one you pay for with money. It's the one that costs you your dignity, your truth, and the respect of the people who matter most. I spent 35 years building foundations for other people's dreams, but the most important foundation I ever built was teaching my granddaughter that honest work is nothing to apologize for. It's something to be proud of.